There's this really fundamental assumption we all make every single morning.
Oh, definitely.
Like you wake up, you feel the texture of your sheets, you hear the traffic down the street, and you just implicitly trust that it's all physically there. It's solid. It's base reality.
Right, you never even question it.
Exactly. But what happens to human psychology or to our communities and really our very sense of identity when that default setting just gets turned off?
That is the big question.
When you're handed the very real possibility that everything your city, your friends, the sky above you, is actually just a highly complex simulation. Today, for you, the listener, we've curated a custom deep dive into exactly this existential earthquake.
And it really is an earthquake. I mean, the premise completely short-circuits how we view everyday interaction.
Yeah.
We're looking at a curated stack of sources today that explore this exact phenomenon.
Yeah.
And the goal here isn't to, debate the physics of a simulated universe.
Right, we're not getting into the math.
Exactly. It's more about understanding the sociological heavy lifting that's required for society to just continue functioning under the weight of such an enormous reality-altering revelation.
So we're pulling from this fascinating publication called The Parallel Observer. It was created by John Grant, who's the founder and CEO of Innovate-XR.
Yep, great publication.
And the writers over there, they aren't just asking, are we in a simulation? They're asking, how do we live? How do we organize? And how do we love, knowing we might be?
It's a very practical approach to a theoretical problem.
It really is. And to explore this, their reporting looks at two incredibly different stressors happening simultaneously in their source material. You've got the high-stakes, hyper-emotional drama of the NCAA basketball tournament.
Which is crazy to think about in this context.
I know. And then on the exact opposite end, a brutal rising heat wave gripping Phoenix, Arizona.
The juxtaposition the Parallel Observer sets up there is just brilliant.
Yeah, it really highlights the extremes.
Because you have one stressor that is completely voluntary and recreational, the sports tournament, and then another that is entirely involuntary and literally life-threatening with the extreme weather.
Right.
It just provides this complete spectrum of the human experience to analyze under this new digital lens.
Okay, let's unpack this because I want to look at the voluntary stress first.
Let's do it.
When you think about existential dread and simulation theory, college basketball isn't exactly the first thing that comes to mind.
Not usually, no.
But there's this article titled March Madness or Simulation Madness, examining the NCAA tournament through the simulation lens. And it makes an incredibly compelling argument about why sports matter more, not less, in a simulated world.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that the fundamental stakes of the game change entirely.
How so?
Well, think about what a sport actually is. At its core, it's just a set of arbitrary rules. You bounce a sphere on a wooden floor and throw it through a little ring.
Right, totally made up.
Exactly. In a guaranteed, objective base reality, that's just a fun diversion. But under the simulation hypothesis, where objective reality is completely stripped away, that set of arbitrary rules becomes a crucial anchor.
Oh, wow.
The game is no longer just about putting a ball in a hoop. It becomes this vital, manufactured certainty in an entirely uncertain universe.
So it's like a localized, shared reality.
Yes, precisely.
Look, if we aren't sure the ground we walk on is made of physical atoms, at least we all agree on the rules of basketball. We all agree that a three-pointer is worth 3 points and the shot clock is 30 seconds.
That's precisely the mechanism at play. And there's another piece we're looking at, Simulation Showdown. Athletes compete in the Elite Eight under a digital lens.
Oh, yeah, I read that one.
It dives into the psychology of the competitors themselves. These athletes aren't just facing the immense physical challenges of performing at an elite level anymore. They're navigating this incredibly complex emotional landscape. They're pouring their sweat and their lifelong dedication into an effort that they know might just be processing power on a server somewhere.
I was really trying to wrap my head around how that would feel for an athlete.
It's got to be wild.
It is. It actually reminds me of the concept of fiat currency.
Oh, that's an interesting comparison.
Think about it. A $20 bill is just a piece of paper, right? Intrinsically, it's completely worthless.
Yeah.
But because we all collectively agree it has value, entire global economies function. So the athletes on the court are essentially minting emotional currency.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
It's like being deeply emotionally invested in the characters of a video game or a movie. Even if you know the pixels or actors aren't real in the traditional sense, the adrenaline, the heartbreak, and the high fives with your friends on the couch are 100% 100% genuine.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. The source of the stimulus might be synthetic, but the physiological and emotional response of the human being is completely authentic.
Right.
And that authenticity is exactly what broader communities are desperately craving right now. There's another article in our snack, Beyond the Game, how the NCAA Final Four shapes community identity.
Yeah, that one shifts the focus away from the players and onto the fans, right?
Exactly. It describes how local towns and communities really rally around these teams. They're essentially using them as existential grounding rituals.
They're out there painting their faces, holding parades, blocking off streets. They just scream until their voices give out.
Yeah, and the reporting describes these communal gatherings as an oasis amid the chaos.
I love that phrase.
It's powerful, because when existential questions are looming over society, standing shoulder to shoulder with thousands of other people, feeling that synchronized roar of a crowd, it becomes a profound act of defiance. It reaffirms their collective identity.
It's like they're collectively shouting, "We're here! We feel this together!"
Exactly.
The shared experience literally becomes the proof of their existence, because the psychological toll of the simulation hypothesis has to be heavy, you know?
Unimaginably heavy.
If you start questioning the nature of your reality, slipping into nihilism seems incredibly easy. You just throw your hands up and say, nothing matters.
Right, why bother with anything?
But the NCAA tournament acts as a societal buffer against that nihilism. It proves that meaning isn't something handed down to us by the universe. I mean, meaning is something we construct together through shared passion.
Yeah, the sports arena provides a safe, controlled environment to practice that shared belief.
But it's just a game at the end of the day.
Right. The illusion of safety on the basketball court leads directly into the second scenario the parallel observer explores. Because the safety of the game is entirely voluntary. You can always just turn the television off. You can leave the stadium.
Which brings us to the involuntary environmental stress.
Here we go.
What happens when the simulation stops being a game and starts becoming an actual threat? We're moving from the basketball court to the brutal realities of extreme weather.
Yeah, the Phoenix Heatwave.
We have an article titled, "Heatwave Signals the Call for a Phoenix Plan, Health Risks on the Rise," and another called "Navigating the Heatwave, the Health Impact of Rising Temperatures in Arizona."
Both of which are pretty intense reads.
They really are. They paint a picture of a city completely under siege by extreme temperatures, asphalt melting, power grid straining, people's physical health put at severe risk.
And the reporters connect this heat wave directly to the NCAA tournament as parallel profound stressors.
Right, I'm making that connection.
They demonstrate how environmental factors and social factors completely weld together under the simulation hypothesis. It forces a community response that just shatters the comfort of philosophical debate.
See, here's where it gets really interesting for me, because I read these articles and I found myself genuinely confused by human nature in this specific scenario.
Okay, how so?
Well, if people truly believe they might be living in a simulation, like if they think their bodies are avatars and the city of Phoenix is just a rendered environment, why do they care so much about the heat?
Ah, I see.
Doesn't the simulation hypothesis make people completely apathetic? I mean, why worry about drafting a comprehensive Phoenix plan for public health if the sun beating down on you is just lines of code? Why not just ignore the heat?
It is the very logical assumption to make, on the surface. If the threat isn't fundamentally real, why panic? Why not just mentally detach from it entirely?
Exactly.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at how the human nervous system is structured to operate. Regardless of what's rendering it, the pain is still felt.
Oh.
Dehydration still causes the bodily systems to shut down. The suffering is subjectively real.
So the code is basically forcing you to feel it.
Yeah, the code is programmed to make you feel the burn, and you cannot simply meditate away 115 degrees if your physiological parameters are designed to fail at that exact temperature.
But wait, if you know the pain is just a signal from a server, wouldn't you try to, hack that response?
What do I mean?
If I know my suffering isn't organic, I feel like my first instinct wouldn't be to call a city council meeting for a Phoenix plan. My instinct would be to try and override the software, to dissociate entirely.
You're touching on a crucial psychological defense mechanism there. Dissociation might work for a minor inconvenience, like a stubbed toe.
Okay.
But extreme, sustained environmental stress forces a physiological override. The survival instinct is just too deeply embedded in the programming.
Wow, so you can't just ignore it.
No, you can be as stoic and detached as you want in an air-conditioned room.
Yeah.
But when the power grid fails and the elderly neighbor next door is experiencing hypothermia, the immediate visceral need to survive takes over. The extreme weather forces residents to reconsider their entire lifestyle.
It creates this completely unprecedented blend of basic primal survival tactics mixed with the highest level philosophical inquiries.
It really does.
It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but the bottom of the pyramid is literally on fire and the top of the pyramid is questioning if the pyramid even exists.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it. I love that.
Thanks.
And what the reporting in Navigating the Heatwave shows us is that these extreme conditions actually become catalysts for incredible physical and mental resilience.
Yeah, people stepping up.
Exactly. The Phoenix Plan mentioned in the sources isn't just about the logistics of cooling centers and water distribution. It's a testament to the fact that simulated threats require genuine, collaborative human engagement.
So the vulnerability actually proves the reality.
You nailed it.
So the heat wave accomplishes the exact same thing the basketball tournament does, just through pain instead of play.
Exactly the same outcome.
It forces connection. It forces you to look at your neighbor, check in on them, and say, are you okay? Do you have enough water? And in doing so, you're validating their existence and your own. You're tethering each other to the world.
Yeah, both the heat wave and the sports tournament prove that the primary mechanism for coping with existential doubt isn't isolation.
It's the opposite.
It's hyper-engagement with the community around you.
Yeah.
You don't retreat from the simulation. You lean into the people sharing it with you.
Which naturally moves us from the macro level, like entire cities rallying for basketball games, massive municipal plans to survive deadly heat waves, down to the most intimate micro level.
The interpersonal stuff.
Right. What happens when you take this existential doubt out of the stadiums and the streets and you drop it right into a living room?
We're talking about individual interpersonal relationships now.
Yeah.
The Parallel Observer addresses this in an article titled Between the Lines. Maya and Marcus embrace truth in a simulated reality.
Such a good piece.
It strips away all the public policy and the sports statistics and focuses entirely on romance.
I found this piece to be, honestly, the most affecting of the whole stack.
It's very moving.
It breaks down how these two characters, Maya and Marcus, are trying to navigate their romantic connection alongside their profound distrust of their reality.
It's a huge burden for a couple.
Think about what it takes to build a relationship. It requires vulnerability, trust, and a shared history. You're laying down bricks of memory to build a life together.
Right.
But what if you both know that the bricks might be holographic? It's like deciding to build a house on an active fault line.
That's a great way to put it.
You both know the ground beneath you is unstable, maybe even completely illusory, but you still have to decide what color to paint the walls inside.
Yeah, and this raises an important question about the fundamental nature of love and memory. If love is just an exchange of data in a server rather than an organic connection, does its value diminish?
It's a scary thought.
Maya and Marcus are depicted as struggling heavily with this. Like, how do you trust the past if your memories might just be procedurally generated backstories?
You can't.
You really can't. The shared understanding of the simulation impacts the most intimate, personal aspects of their lives, mirroring the broader struggles humanity faces with authenticity.
So what does this all mean? Put yourself in their shoes for a second. Imagine trying to look your partner in the eyes, trying to offer them absolute emotional support while simultaneously questioning the very fabric of the universe you share.
It's mind-bending.
It requires a completely new definition of what truth even is in a relationship. You can't rely on objective history anymore.
No, you have to rely entirely on the present moment. They have to decide that their connection to each other in the exact moment they're experiencing it. That is the truth.
Wow.
The objective reality of their universe becomes secondary to the subjective reality of their bond. The article notes that they have to embrace truth in a simulated reality, which really implies creating their own localized truth.
They become the authors of their own meaning.
Exactly.
And the sources mention that this narrative doesn't stop here either. Future editions of the Parallel Observer are slated to explore how emerging AR and XR technologies, augmented reality and extended reality, relate to this evolving understanding of reality.
Which makes total sense, given John Grant's background with Innovate XR.
Right. But how do you think that changes the equation for people like Maya and Marcus?
It's going to change everything.
Because if you already believe you're in a simulation, why would you put on an augmented reality headset? Isn't that just putting a simulation inside a simulation?
That is exactly the paradigm shift the upcoming reporting seems poised to tackle.
Okay.
If society accepts they are in a simulation, then their relationship with technology changes from passive consumption to active manipulation.
Oh, interesting.
AR and XR wouldn't just be tools for entertainment or productivity anymore. They'd be viewed as a way to interface with the fabric of their reality.
Like hacking the matrix.
Basically, yeah. If base reality is gone and the universe is just code, then AR and XR are humans taking control of the developer tools.
Oh, wow. So instead of feeling trapped by the simulation, you use technology to build nested realities of your own choosing.
Exactly.
It's not escapism, it's asserting control. You use the AR to filter out the noise and create a space where your localized truth, like the bond between Maya and Marcus, can actually thrive.
It becomes a profound philosophical instrument.
That's incredible.
And if we synthesize the core takeaways from all these disparate articles from the Parallel Observer, a very clear, very human pattern emerges regarding how we handle that kind of control and uncertainty.
Yeah, across all the scenarios.
Whether it's the roar of the crowd at the Final Four, the brutal, oppressive physical reality of an Arizona heat wave melting the streets, or the quiet, intimate bond between Maya and Marcus trying to trust each other in a living room.
The reaction is the same.
The human response to profound uncertainty is incredibly consistent.
We seek out each other. We seek out connection.
We do. The simulation hypothesis doesn't destroy society in these narratives. It distills it.
Oh, I like that. It distills it.
It burns away the trivialities and leaves only the absolute necessity of human-to-human reliance. We need each other to confirm that we exist, whether we're confirming it through a shared set of arbitrary basketball rules, a collaborative municipal heat wave plan, or just a promise made between two people.
Which brings this entirely back to you, listening right now. We've spent this deep dive exploring how communities handle these massive reality-altering stressors. But the psychology applies perfectly to the everyday uncertainties of our own lives.
It absolutely does.
What are your anchors? If you woke up tomorrow and saw a definitive news report proving that your world was a simulation created by a company like InnovateXR, what would actually change about your behavior?
Would you act differently?
Would you still put on the jersey and cheer for your favorite team on a Saturday? Would you still rush over to help your neighbor fix their AC unit in the middle of July? Would you still hold the hand of the person sitting next to you on the couch?
History and the sociological behaviors documented in these narratives suggest that, yeah, you absolutely would.
Yeah.
Because the alternative is isolation. And human beings are fundamentally wired against isolation, regardless of the physical or digital reality they inhabit. The environment changes, but the human imperative to connect remains constant.
I want to leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over today. We spent a lot of time analyzing what is objectively real versus what is a simulation.
Right.
But if our physical pain from a scorching heat wave feels agonizingly real, if our adrenaline from a college basketball game gets our actual hearts pounding in our chests, and if our love for another person feels completely undeniably authentic, does the base reality of our universe even matter?
That's the real question.
Perhaps reality isn't defined by whether the world is made of carbon atoms or complex computer code. Perhaps reality is simply defined by the undeniable authenticity of the human experience within it. If you feel it, it's real. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.